We gotta sanitize around here. Okay, the health board's coming in. All right, that's good. We got sanitizer, we got paper towel, we got soap, we got a hand washing sink. These are all things you need. And this video is not gonna get that specific with how to open a grocery store. I'm gonna go over the main things that we went through to get everything going. Things like sanitizing and being clean is just kind of common sense. I have many videos on the subject, but if you're just getting started, this video will be the 5 top key points, I think, that will really get things going in your repertoire of opening a grocery store. You're gonna need garbage bags, carts, everything else that comes with it. That is something that we could spend 24/7 discussing, but this video is the starting point. So you're in the right spot if you're trying to open a small business, a small retail store, brick and mortar. Mainly my experiences in groceries, so I hope you enjoy. Hit the like button. So I have made this video before. I usually like to make it once a year because I find that things do change. We learn a lot of new things, the industry changes, and people are looking for new and updated information. So this is why we are talking about today how to open a grocery store in 2021. So you probably assume that this is the safest business. You know, this business got to stay open without question throughout the pandemic. People always need groceries. They have long lists of groceries every single week that you will have at your store, and they'll always come shopping, so you can start signing checks. Your ego will be happy, you'll be well known around the city, and everybody's happy. To get real with you guys, it does come with a lot of downs as well as a lot of positives. It's nice to be your own boss. However, you know, everything that seems glamorous on the outside obviously has a reality behind. And I'm gonna give you the 5 to 6 steps, I haven't decided yet, on what it truly takes to run and operate a small grocery store boutique, like we like to call it, and see if it's something you want to do. I think this is the base point video. If anyone is interested in opening a small business retail, this specialty for me is grocery, but you're in the right place if you're looking to open any retail store. It generally can, you know, overlap in many different ways. So a general tip, we just shut down the store for the day, so I figured I'd make this video, you know, update everybody. I know a lot of our current subscribers have probably heard me say a lot of these things, and that's good because you're well educated. I may add some more things that will help your overall plan, but this one is essential for your own mental health. Get blinds that, you know, block out everybody when you're closed, because I'm telling you, even if you have a closed sign or 5 closed signs, make it 10. You could have 30 closed signs on this door. People that see you inside your store while you're cleaning up and closing and, you know, going through all, you know, wherever you need to stock, people will knock on this door and expect you to open at any time of the day, even if you're closed for 3 hours and you're still here, for them to get an onion or, you know, a bunch of bananas or anything, because they're the center of the universe. And, you know, you want your customer to feel happy, blah, blah, blah. But there comes a time and a place where you need to leave the store. So get some blocking coverage blinds here, and your life will be a lot easier. I never wanted them. I didn't think we needed them. Felicia insisted because, you know, the sun was hitting this store. But the actual benefit wasn't to block the sun out, it was to block the annoying customers that never leave you alone, no matter what time of day it is. All right, so yes, I walk onto almost every set we take. I like showing angles of the store before you have to look at me. So the first step, and I'm telling you, probably the most important thing you'll ever decide on where to put your retail store is your location. Unless your retail is based on online sales, I'm telling you, for brick and mortar business where you want foot traffic and people coming in your door, your location is the number one thing you need to consider. To specify what I mean, your location should be where it's easily accessible, you have parking, or you even have your own parking space, you have a lot of foot traffic. In a small retail store like this, you'll find in the summer months, or if you live in a tropical area where it's always warm, people can be walking just randomly around and come into your store and buy things that they never really intended to. So you're gonna want at least a good amount of foot traffic when you really judge your space. And you can do this by, if you have an idea on where you wanna put your store, sit outside for 3-4 hours every couple days during the week, maybe a Monday, then switch it to a Wednesday, then a Saturday, and see who's around, see who's in your plaza, see who's on the city block, see if there's people walking, see where people park, see if no one goes at all to these locations, because your landlord's not going to tell you, we don't get too much foot traffic, or it's really dead in the winter. You're going to want to see if there's people around, and if there's an option to actually make a viable business for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Who knows how long you want to be doing this, or if you want to stay in the same spot. But your location needs to be researched, and this is what we did here. We picked a small neighborhood that was underserved, didn't have much grocery around. We're kind of 5 to 10 Ks away from any major grocery store, so it becomes a very convenient spot where you can't compete on pricing at this level in retail and grocery and maybe a lot of other industries, but it becomes very convenient for your customers in this 5-kilometer radius just to shop at your store, so they don't have to go anywhere else. Your location. Make sure foot traffic, parking, a underserved area. I suggest a small neighborhood community that wants to support a local small business. And you really need to stand out. Make sure you have everything set up. Your signage needs to be visible. You don't want to have one of those stores that just has a little sign on the door. Nobody cares when they drive by. I'm telling you, it looks cool. Yeah, it's hipster. And you don't need a sign because you're so busy and it's a lifestyle business. You don't have a sign, I'm telling you, no one's going to care. The people driving by won't even know you're here. People will forget about you week to week. You need a sign that people can see from at least 500 meters away. Look at Walmart and all those other stores. Their signs are not, hidden. They're proud of their name. So yeah, that's something we updated as well. Not too much to do with location, just, you want people in that location to be able to see you at all times of the day. The first thing of any business is to invest your money correctly, and how much you want to invest, how much you want to risk, that's up to you. How much you need to risk for your startup is going to be dependent on your situation. But for your finances, let me give you an idea, because I'm open and honest on this channel. The space you see in all these videos, bare bones, a little bit of shelving, not any of the inventory you really see today. With the electrical, the tiling, the coolers, and some starting shelving, cost us about $80,000. So if that gives you a perspective, if you're kind of really trying to do this on a shoestring budget, it's probably not going to happen without taking out a business loan. So a business loan is not required if you have your own funding, or you have investors who believe in your idea, or you have some family money that you can use for your project. But you will need a good amount of financing, not just for your build out or renovations or your inventory or shelving, but you're going to need money to kind of stabilize you and and sit on a kind of a cushion for about a year and a half before your business actually starts making money. So, if you predict that you're going to need, if your business plan predicts that you're going to need about $80,000, you're going to need closer to $120,000 to keep you afloat for a little while, right? Like, to give you an example, this place didn't make any money for about a year and a half, and me and Felicia were kind of just living on what we had already saved, and mainly beans and rice, and we weren't really spending any money because we weren't taking any money out of this business. The business, if you're lucky to even take a penny out of it, after 2 years, you should be happy. So your finances need to be in order before getting a business loan. Now, there may be options for you to find a grant in underserved communities that really want a store like yours that you're trying to set up. I don't know how that's how feasible that's going to be to find sometimes, but it's worth looking at. So number 3 is inventory. Your inventory is going to be based on the location you're in. If you're in an affluent, upper class or middle class, upper middle class area, you can carry things that are a little bit more expensive, some boutique items, higher end cheeses, olives, breads, specialty items that you wouldn't find at the big box stores. Now, you're going to be able to still try to stay competitive, but your pricing will probably be a little higher on your inventory than stores like Walmart or Myers, as you guys have in the States, Kroger. You'll never be able to compete with them on pricing, and if you try to, you're at a race to the bottom, and I'm telling you, you're never going to make it. You need to find inventory if you open a small business like this that specializes in things people can't really find at every other store. You don't want to have the same ketchup and mustard and olive oil as those other stores, because you just can't compete on the price, so there's no point. You want to have the things that people, want to try or found when they were in a different country and you brought them to, this store. So you really want to you really want to have different inventory than all your other big box stores, because you just become another run-of-the-mill store that, people don't need to go to. I do have things in this store that you can find at, big box stores. I know people can point some of these things out that they've seen everywhere, but that's based on convenience. Most of our inventory specializes in things that are a little bit harder to find. We'll say it like that. So where you source your inventory is going to be based on your location. In Canada, we have some big distributors. I believe UNFI is one, Tree of Life. There's multiple that we use. Even in a small store like this, I think we have maybe 20 different representatives from all different places. When you work for a franchise or a corporate chain, I assume they use their own distributors. But when you're in a mom and pop shop like this, the bread comes from one person, the sliced bread comes from another person, the snacks come from one person. Felicia's having some good times with baguettes back there. That sounds kind of weird, but your cheese comes from one person, your dairy, your milk comes from one person, your eggs may come from another person. There's a lot of different moving parts to keep this store stocked. You think, oh, look at this small store, there's just a couple check marks at the end of the week and they have everything they need. No, there's a lot of things that we still tend to forget because there's just so much going on all the time. And the main thing that we really base our specialize on is produce, which is a whole nother animal that we have to take care of day in and day out to make it look almost perfect. And that's a whole nother stress in itself. So if you're not getting into produce, good for you. So I'm gonna get into point number 4 right now, but I know this channel, you guys are smart on this channel. The people that watch this channel are smart, but I need to reiterate it and kind of explain a little bit more in depth. But it's your customer service. And your customer service, everyone, be nice to the customer, listen to your customer, help the customer. It goes much further than that. In this small business, it becomes a personal relationship when you start seeing the same people come in your door 3-4 times, once a week. Some people will come almost every day. It's time you start learning people's names, saying hi, how are you? Listen to people talk. I can tell you Felicia's at the front pretty much as this store is open day to night. And she'll listen to people's problems. She'll listen to people's, issues they have going on. They'll talk as friends. It's not all bad. When people want to vent, they'll vent. But it becomes a place where people want to come in because they're treated as a person and not another nameless, faceless ticket sale at Walmart where nobody cares if you're there or not. If you ask for a product, it's probably not going to be coming in. Some stores are great. Listen, some big box stores are managed very well and they care about their customers too, but it's just a whole different experience when you come in here. There's really nothing like a small boutique retail store that you can provide as an owner, that someone can get at a big box store. There's not the same feel, there's not the same care. You know, when you support a small business, it's helping the owner, you know, keep living pretty much. So think of it that way. Customer service, you know the basics. You know, you're not going to start being rude to customers. You know this by now on this channel. You're not going to start swearing at customers if, you know, they don't buy something and they walk out. That happens in every retail store. It's just a simple start with, hi, how are you? No one gets that at other stores. That's what makes you stand apart. And people appreciate that. People will come back for that. And it's going to be a long-term process before, you know, you start getting your regulars. But that's how you build a well-oiled machine in this business, by building a regular customer base that will support you on your slow months, your bad days, your slow days. And then every other person, random person that comes in through the day is just the gravy on top of the well-oiled machine that you've already built. We're still cleaning up back here. It's been a long day, okay? But the point number 5, and this is going to be the scariest part of your business, where you are locked into a long-term lease. Because most people, like me, before I started this business, you know, you're used to a 1-year lease if you're renting a joint, if you're renting a place, a house, a condo, that, you know, even if it, you know, you don't like it or you can't afford it anymore, 1 year is 1 year. You can manage your landlord, you know, most landlords are reasonable. And, you know, if you really can't afford the lease anymore after 6 months, they'll just find a new tenant. But a business lease becomes so much more complicated. And let me explain, because it does get kind of particular with your situation and how big you go, how much money you invest. So it can be a lot of different parts to this segment. Your lease is basically an agreement between you and your landlord that, you know, you're going to be paying a certain amount monthly. You can do this, this, and this. You take your garbage out over there. I'm really simplifying it, but I'm just specifying, you know, that you're going to be paying a monthly amount plus the taxes plus your, you know, monthly common expenses for your landlord to take care of the building, you know, snow removal, grass cutting, everything else that comes with, you know, being a landlord. So just budget correctly. You know, there's no getting away from this payment every single month. It comes quick. The first of the month comes quick, and no matter what your sales are, this amount doesn't change. So yeah, just budget correctly. You may not need as big of a space as you intended. You may have rented too small of a space. You really need to plan this out and find the proper lease that works for your business. Most likely you're going to have to sign a long-term lease, which is probably going to be 3, 5, 10, 15, 20 years, depending on your landlord and the size of the space and, you know, how much money you invested. If you invested a lot of money, you know, you're going to want a long-term lease, right? So your landlord, if you only sign a 3-year lease and you spend $150,000 setting up your space, you know, after 3 years, your landlord could use it for somebody else, right? Unless you have, you know, options to renew and everything else. But generally speaking, people are in business for the long term. You don't really start a business just for, you know, 2 years if things are going well. And you don't start a business with, you know, expectations to fail. So you generally will be required to sign at least a 5-year lease in my experience. Now, for the people that are starting very small and probably under $10,000, just getting things going in a small space, you may be able to get away with a 1-year lease, which I recommend because, you know, if you do go under in a small space, you know, you can get out after 1 year and you'll be fine. There is, you know, landlords that if you do go under, they'll find a new tenant for you, but you may be on the line to cover the rent until they do find that tenant. So just be careful with, you know, signing a long ass lease, because you may be stuck with a business that didn't work out and 3-4 years left to pay for every single month, and that's a personal guarantee sometimes if you're just getting started. Recommendations for your lease: get a lawyer to look over everything. You know, I'm not saying that I know much about leases. That's what I did. I got a lawyer to look over my lease, make sure everything was set up correctly, make sure we weren't being taken advantage of before we signed anything, and make sure there was no restrictions on what this business can do. You know, there's a lot of landlords that, you know, will restrict you from selling something that someone else in their plaza is selling. So try to look at all the fine print, because you don't want any restrictions on your business. On the other hand, you should protect yourself and make sure there's a restriction on, you know, your landlord renting a space right in the same plaza to someone who's doing exactly what you're doing. So for example, I have a restriction that no one can open a grocery store in this entire plaza. We're the only ones that are able to sell, you know, food that's in grocery form, I guess. You know, there's going to be restaurants and people selling, you know, pizza in every plaza almost, but you want to be restricted have the restriction that no one else can open the same business that you're doing. So if you're opening a pizza shop, you don't want your landlord able to open a pizza shop in the same plaza next door. Now, if someone opens up down the street, you're not in a plaza, then, you know, that's just how business is sometimes. This thing can't be cleaned. Okay. We spend a lot of time cleaning around here, but I'm going to end this video here. Thank you for watching. To be honest with you, I hope this really helped you guys find some value in your starting point on opening your own small business. There's a lot, you know, obviously more to it. This is the general starting point. If you want to get more in depth, we have a nice full channel of other videos that may help you as well. So if you made it this far, I thank you and have a great night.